Well, hello and welcome to Betuor Gripley's much overdue and late best of 2025. It took me a little bit to get my new webcam set up and working. I found out my old one was broken, blah blah blah. But I did want to go ahead and record this. It is 5 days into February and all that kind of nonsense. But I did want to come here and actually get this recorded. Because I did like doing that last year, and I have some things to say about some stuff for this year as well. So without further ado, this is the best of 2025. If you want to see the worst of, that'll be a separate video. That one was way more popular than my best of, but negativity and all that. But without further ado, let's get into the best of 2025. Number one, I have a little weird category, but it is the non-Japanese Asian video games. There was lots of really cool Chinese games that came out this year. Of course, you're getting lots of more interesting Chinese sort of MMO gacha things that are admittedly really cool, but I mean, very kind of similar. So I don't really kind of play too much of them. It takes lots of time, but there's lots of cool ones. Of course, there's still lots of cool ones coming up. I think they get announced to take 3 years to come out, which is weird. But also ones I'm oddly looking forward to. I think it was NTE, and there was something from that Blue Archive, that Blue Protocol. It's Blue somebody. I think it was one of the boat people video games that have another one of those. Lots of interesting stuff there, and there's also some really interesting, I think, ones from India, or at least ones being shown off coming up. And I'm gonna be honest, probably 75% of the video games I'm interested in now are from Asia to some degree. There's just not too much great stuff, in my opinion, coming out of the West. But there's lots of cool stuff over in, Japan, but also in China, and some cool things going on in India now. And there's some things that I'm really looking forward to and checking out, because there's a couple of them that come out that do look a little bit more interesting than some other ones. Still probably going to be that kind of Genshin Impact problem, and unless you spin, it's not going to be kind of too fun. The end game, some different things like that. But there is actually quite a few from them I'm looking at trying out. Also, oddly interested in the Hoyoverse. Hoyoverse is its new name, not MiHoYo. Animal Crossing Planet, I think it was Little Cuties, Planet Cuties, or something like that. Honestly, looked kind of interesting. Though obviously, there was a couple other interesting sort of Animal Crossing games all announced in the same week or two, which was a little bit crazy. But yeah, those is kind of my number one. There's lots of interesting things coming out there. Oh, and I can't forget, and it has a weird name. I don't remember it right now, but it's the Chinese knockoff of Horizon, but it's just you're hunting. Looks almost a little bit more Monster Hunter-ish, one-on-one sort of combat with the things. Robotic creatures, but robot creatures is not owned by Horizon, and honestly it looks better visually than that. But yeah, it's just another one of those. Next up, for one that's also technically connected to the above, I have Girls Frontline 2, and I think Exilium is its subtitle, and I don't think anybody really calls that, but just Girls Frontline 2. I started playing that this year, and I think technically maybe came out last year. It was kind of weird. It took a little while for it to come over to Steam, so I missed the first couple events of the English version. But I have really enjoyed that game. I want to make a separate video going over that as a full-on review of that game itself. But the initial hook was kind of gotcha anime XCOM, new XCOM, I guess even more so XCOM 2. And the beginning of the game kind of feels like that, but as you get later on, it does become a little bit more what characters you get, what kind of skills do they do. Lots more unique and over the top than the starting squad was. Starting squad's a little bit more these characters would be strong in XCOM with their abilities, but they still kind of feel more so like a regular character. Sniper has like a sniper shot for the old, but the snipers are all kind of a little bit lacking in animations in my opinion. The main character has a grenade launcher, I guess underslung or something to her rifle. Healer does a like one heal move on somebody, and the sword character like anime sword flies forward, that sort of thing. Which I mean, of course, is obviously like I said, kind of basic, and a little bit of that is covered with the XCOM 2 sort of stuff. Especially they were a little bit more anime over top, especially the Chosen DLC with. I forget what those extra units, like the Templars to me is my favorite of those, but that was a little bit more over the top. But that game is one I've had fun. I've been playing it since I think February, March, or April, somewhere around there of last year. And I think like it technically had its like 1 year anniversary around Christmas-ish, something like that. So I've been playing it for about a year. I mean, gosh, it's February now, so if I started in February, it's been about almost a year. And it was kept me interested. Some of the daily stuff's a little bit more boring, but I do think it's a little bit harder to make stuff on there that's interesting to always come back to, or like for the daily stuff. But I do have fun playing the new events, playing with new characters, making new teams, seeing how I can make a team that maybe can clear a whole map in one turn, some different things like that, and then of course trying to make some of the lesser characters work out, especially like the older, slightly a little bit less outdated, or ones that can't wipe a whole map in one turn sort of characters. But they're fun. I like the art. I mean, honestly, my favorite thing is probably the enemies. Granted, there's some that's like, but there's lots of really cool ones, lots of cool robot designs. I love gun pants. There's a couple other really like dumpy robot like designs in there that's just, I don't know, gives me joy to see. There's lots of cool ones. Some of the big more robotic bosses are cool. Bosses maybe about 50-50, or 50 good, maybe 20 bad, and 30% kind of like a little bit more in the middle. But that is a game I have had lots of fun with, and I've enjoyed lots of the stuff they've added to it. There's a couple things I kind of wish they would change, but I'd like to maybe go through that in like its own review. But it is definitely like a very Genshin Impact XCOM game, which is an interesting mix of genres, and I do like the actual turn-based combat part of the game, which is probably the biggest reason why I'm still actively playing it. If you're interested, I do stream that every now and then. I like to stream when the new events come out, and at least like go through it on stream. I have lots of fun doing that. So for me, that's up here. I think it's still making pretty good. I think it's normally in like the top 50 or so money makers, which seems like, oh, it's like 47. It's not doing good. It's gonna get shut down. But I'm like, gosh, they're making like millions of dollars a month. That's pretty good. I wouldn't shut that down personally. But next up, we have Marvel. There was going to be something else I was going to have on this list for Marvel, but apparently I heard it shutting down April 1st, which is also interesting, because that does feel like a troll thing, but I think it's true. Weirdly, there's lots of stuff like releasing on April 1st, which is weird. I think it was like Marvel Mystic Force or something like that. I heard it came out. I heard it was supposed to be pretty good, but apparently has since shut down. I think it started shutting down at the very end of December, or they announced it or something, which I was really surprised. I was looking that up to include that on here. But regardless of that, I can still go. I think there was like a Marvel side-scrolling beat them up game. I forgot what the name, Affinity Conflict or something. I mean, I think it came out and did good, but I think it's like one studio that keeps on doing those like licensed games for different people. Then they've done a TMNT, I think they did a Power Rangers, they've done Marvel, but they're all kind of like the same-ish. But I mean, I think the people that like it, of course, like it. I forget the actual name of it. It has a full name yet. But the Marvel game that is the fighting game from the developers that did Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters, that one looked pretty good. I don't know if I really actually like the company. I'm a fighting game person personally, but like when you lose, you unlock a new character to use from your 4 selected characters. That one seems weird. I'm curious if that's going to catch on. It might be a little bit too niche, but they also tried to do something different, so I can't hold that too much against them. But that one, it looks like that's getting kind of well received. The character designs look kind of neat. They made some characters I don't like look a little bit more likable just because of the art. And then like the Gundam-ish, more anime armored Iron Man's interesting. I'm curious to see what else we have with some of those character designs. Which is also weird because the other one on this is Marvel Rivals, and to kind of like the 2 big ones on here, Rivals and whatever that fighting game is okay, Marvel's really good, but kind of mostly when you give it to an Asian developer, which kind of goes back to number 1 too, which I think is interesting. And then with this, of course, Rivals, props for it still going, and it looks like it's still going strong, and it seems like it still has a strong gameplay scene, pumping out characters decently frequently, and lots of cool ones. I mean, of course, you're probably going to get some more niche ones soon, but lots of it is stuff that I have at least heard of. Not that I'm like the biggest Marvel fan, but that's probably also a little bit of a good thing, is like, oh, I actually know that character. Yeah, that was in a movie here, that was in this movie, that one's kind of a little bit more popular, at least I know of them. I think the Fantastic Four release was really cool, and I think it did, I don't know, I'm surprised to say better than the movie, but I like that one quite a bit, and lots of the other stuff. They do have a couple weird designs, like I think Emma Frost was built kind of weird, built like a kind of torso, there's little bitty arms and like the mega thigh. But, you know, hey, apparently it sold, so different body types, great. I do like how there was a problem with people couldn't tell the difference with all the hot blondes or something like that. I remember that was going on, which was obviously kind of funny. And the stuff I see from them, alternative like skin designs, it looks, you know, pretty good. They do some interesting variety. I think we're having I think the one I just saw was like a techno Groot or something, where he's like made up of like computer wire stuff. Honestly, kind of neat. But lots of really interesting stuff going on there with that game, and I am impressed with how well it seems like Marvel is doing with the video games, considering that I guess the movies haven't done so great. I believe I heard there was a chance that all 3 of the Marvel movies this year might not have really recouped the budget. They like take the budget and that 2.5 times you needed to make because of the marketing costs, which is included, and then whatever the theaters take for their cut, because you don't make all that money because some of that money goes back to theaters and blah blah blah. They didn't do all that well. It is interesting to see that the games still have lots of steam with them. Although I know this talks about maybe them rebooting the Marvel MCU like kind of universe, and I'm curious would they go a little bit more like Rivals, because it does seem like the Rivals is doing a little bit more stuff based off of the comics and doing some more interesting designs and other stuff. That would they actually do something like that? But yeah, I just wanted to include them because people seemed actually hyped for that fighting game, which I was surprised. Wasn't sure if Marvel was going to do it, and Marvel Rivals still seems to be doing strong a year later after I included it in last year's video. I believe it was in the top like the best of 2024, and it seems like it's still going, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. Don't hear anything about the player counts really dropping. They're having tournaments and stuff with that, and I almost feel like this would be a spicy opinion. Marvel Rivals might be more popular than the MCU currently. I believe there was some interview. Of course, this could be more just like a joke thing, but I want to say it was one of the heads of Marvel actually said that his kids were asking for some characters to be included in the movies based off of Marvel Rivals, or the kid knew them from Rivals and not the movie that they had been in. Something interesting like that. Like it seems like it has maybe a little bit more of a impact or broader appeal currently than the MCU, though, in fairness, is MCU kind of like boomer territory, because I was in, I think, 8th grade when Avengers released. Like the first Avengers, that's kind of old. That's lots of movies you have to go back and watch to get into it now. But yeah, I just feel like including that one because really impressed with how that one's still going. And honestly, the devs for that game seem kind of cool, and I'm happy that they made a game that seems to be actually popular and actually like continuously doing well in a genre too that I thought was kind of a little bit more dead on the way out. Now, next up, if anybody does watch this, this is probably where I'm going to get the angry comments for include this. Oh, actually, the next one might be a little bit too. But the controversial best of I have is AI right now, artificial intelligence, with how that's working with video gaming currently. Because there was 3 sort of a little bit more bigger ones I had. Actually, it's like 2. One was a little bit more memey for AI, but and ironically, this is the one that's going to be on the list later. But it got in trouble for Expedition 33. I think it was just like they used some stuff for some concept art or concept for concept art, because or you might not know, but lots of concept artists is like running stuff through AI to get like concepts and then drawing based off of that, because it's like a quick way to generate a bunch of like images very quickly, obviously, but generate it kind of quickly to see like, do I like this, do I like that. It does make lots of weird stuff, I mean, depending on what kind of stuff you're using the concept for, but you can create lots of interesting and weird environments, and you can go, okay, I kind of like that, or kind of like this, which is kind of stupid. They lost some rewards for that, but lots of people are doing that right now. Just say that it's getting very very common right now. The other one I want to include was Arc Raiders. Not that I'm like the most familiar with that game. It might would have made this list, but just didn't really look honestly that interesting to me personally. But I'm not even into that genre. But they got in a little bit of trouble because they used AI for some voice work stuff in that game. Because if I remember correctly, it is, I guess you can select voices for your character. Somehow your characters get voices, and of course you have like some voice lines. But there is some text-to-speech work stuff going on in that game, and of course this was with permission from the voice actors. They were able to take the voices and use that, so when you type in something, you can then have the character say that in the voice of the character, because obviously we're able to record all the lines for that type of stuff, but that is a way to have the text chat voiced, which I think is honestly really cool. And I mean, I'm sure they would still hire you if they were recording new stuff. I don't know if that game's going to really have new voice lines recorded for. I don't know. Weird one must say, hey, it's not one I'm the most into, but I thought that was neat. That's definitely a really cool way to use AI. I mean, of course, that's kind of just text-to-speech anyways. But I think we do apply AI a little bit broadly to stuff that didn't used to be counted as AI. But I think there were some people hating on the game for that, but they got it all approved by the people who did the voice work for the game. And honestly, I think that adds lots of extra, immersion, that the stuff that your character is saying is not like Microsoft Sam, but is actually like the voice of your character that you selected. Really cool addition. Oh, and I remember what the third one was before we get to the really stupid one. But there is, I think it's called Where Winds Meet. For some reason I want to give it a different name, but I think that's the weird Genshin, Korean, whatever game. But there's some stuff in that where the, I guess, quest lines or side quest stuff, you can actually like type in your responses to them and basically gaslight the NPCs, because they're all kind of set up with, I guess, a little bit of AI going on there, and you can actually convince them with, I think I heard somebody say it was something like, oh, I need to find my missing pairs, and it's like, oh, your pants are standing right here next to you. Oh my gosh. I mean, of course, not like the best, but could be really cool. depending on how you set it up to be able to do some stuff like that, and at least like the idea that honestly probably the thing I'd be dislike the most would actually be having to type in all of the stuff to actually have the conversation. Though gaslighting NPCs and stuff is kind of a fun little pastime. That would be something I'd definitely be interested in. But those are kind of the three that I think are really interesting. I mean, like I said, I don't think Expedition 33 really did too much stuff. I think it was like just some concept art and maybe like a few other little things, but like lots of stuff's being done in the industry with that to speed some things up. Of course, there's also lots of code stuff now. Granted, also the code stuff can be used a little bit like sort of spell check too, so that's going to get lots more popular there for speeding up coding. The AI sort of quest lines and the AI voices, so you can actually match the characters' voice lines for text chat and some other things like that. I mean, you combine that with the AI quest line stuff and like gaslighting the NPCs, that would probably be really interesting for something to do. But the other one I had with this was, and I forget the name of the game. It was just like some pure, I don't know what to call it, slop. I kind of hate using the word slop. But kind of like the most shovelware type of like basic game release, kind of like for streamer stuff. I think it was like you're abducted by aliens or went missing. You thought it was aliens, and you came to the town to check its stuff out and investigate. And the radio in there was all pretty sure AI generated songs, but pretty good. It was stupid. There was something about the one that stood out the most to me was because that's what I watched the streamer play. But mentioned the woman having a wiener, and it's like, what? And then you find out the end of the song's the wiener dog. That's her secret. She has a wiener dog, and it's like, oh, the woman with the big wiener. Okay. When you first hear that, it's hysterical. But they had lots of good songs in there that kind of matched the vibe of the game, and they did a good job with the DJ radio jockey person actually talking about stuff with the songs. It's a little bit of a weird one, but I think if you want to have some super specialized stuff, honestly, the AI music stuff's not too bad if you actually put some effort into getting the stuff to work. Probably controversial opinion, but I kind of like some of these different tools and some of the stuff that you can do with them and some of the things you can do with them as a indie dev. They were actually quite good. Now, I'm very interested to see where these tools go in the future and all other stuff can be done with them, because whether you like it or not, it's kind of here and it's happening, and let's be fair, most people that's using it's not telling you they're using it. But then also there's a weird back and forth with lots of people. I think with Steam just did something. We only have to disclose if you used art, not if you use AI to code, which is interesting. It's weird that it's only kind of like the art side, but then other things also still kind of talk about it. Though I'm also interested when they're going to start using AI to just dub some stuff in the like voice of the original person. I would like my waifus and Girls Frontline 2 to actually talk English to me and be very interested to know what they actually say. Oh, but Nemesis just doesn't say anything. She's all just gibberish, so I just skip everything she says, which is sad, because I actually like Nemesis as a character. It's just they didn't do a good job with her talking. But then moving up, we have, of course, Expedition 33. Honestly, a game that looks really interesting. Not exactly my type. Honestly, looking at the combat, I don't think I would enjoy it. Though part of me does want to get it and maybe play it on easy. I don't like the turn-based, but like QTE combat stuff. I'm actually surprised at how popular it's got, because looking at the combat, it kind of looked a little bit bad to me. I'm not like, it's not something I like, and I remember when everybody used to hate on QTE stuff, and it's kind of what I would say is QTE sort of combat stuff going on. So kind of surprised it did as good as it did. But it's also really interesting how that game has turned out, how well it did, and I think it's really interesting here that was from, if I remember correctly, it was ex-Ubisoft developers, or at least a couple people. I think there were some people from the Assassin's Creed team that felt like their design choices was being stifled, so they left to make their own studio where they could make stuff they actually kind of like to make, and it seems like it actually turned out really well. I mean, of course, it won Game of the Year and lots of other awards, and people actually really liked it. And I've only largely heard good things about it. I think there was one person that heard bad things like as soon as it released, but everybody else was like positive afterwards, and it looks decent. Like I said, I still kind of would like to pick it up, probably if it goes on sale for like $15, something like that, because I don't know if I'd actually like the combat, but actually it's one of the few games that released last year that I'm also like, I kind of really want to try it. And props to them as an indie studio, leaving a bigger studio that felt like they weren't being, I don't know, appreciated, used properly, weren't making good stuff, whatever it all exactly was. I mean, sure, it's probably a little bit of all of those. And going out and actually making their own thing and making something that turned out as a thing that could win Game of the Year. Also really interested to see what they could make with the amount of people they did, which I think was still kind of high, but like nowhere near what you hear about some of these AAA games, like 400 people and stuff. I think like Concord was 350 or something along those lines. And seeing them go and make that and did something that people seem to actually have enjoyed. And I'm very excited about that. I look forward to at some point maybe eventually trying it myself. But next up is, this also might be one of the controversial ones, but I'm going to say the Switch 2 and its titles. Most of the stuff I've seen from the Switch 2 has been really positive. It looks really good, I just don't have the money to get it myself, and I don't know if I'd actually play it too much. I'm kind of bad with playing some games and getting through some of my backlogs. I don't know if it's the most justified to pick it up and then play a game. Though I would probably play lots of Mario Kart World. Right? World? Yeah. Right, World. I get that one mixed up with the mobile game for some reason. I don't want to call that one World Tour. I think that was Mario Kart Tour and this is Mario Kart World. But the free roam level stuff looks really neat, and then the Knockout Tour mode. Knockout Tour? Is it Knockout Tour? Yeah, I think it's Knockout Tour. That one also looks really neat. That was a neat little addition to the game. But that one looked cool. The Donkey Kong game looked really neat. I don't know if it would exactly be one that I would pick up, but I don't think it was too particularly long, so I could maybe see myself doing that. The Kirby Air Ride, I heard lots of good things about it. I don't know if I would really pick that one up myself. I never got into Kirby Air Ride, but I don't know if I had the console at the time to get Kirby Air Ride. I know that was like a little bit of a niche title, but some good things about that. Pokemon ZA also looked really good. Honestly, I think it looked visually really good from what I saw my friend Tim stream of it. Everything looked good. I know there was some stuff beforehand saying it was running bad, but I heard some different things about people intentionally playing it on the Switch 1 and like an older Switch 1 that wasn't doing very good, and using handheld mode and other stuff to make the game look worse. And maybe like one wild Pokemon ran into a wall or something. Everything else I saw from it, from my friend streaming it, looked pretty good. I mean, it was Pokemon graphics, but I thought the world looked surprisingly good for the city environments and like the inside scenes, for like the cutscenes and stuff. Those looked really good. Only thing there is, I don't think I like the combat in there. I think I like more the turn-based combat from Pokemon. I don't think I'd like to actually have to run around and press the different buttons for the different moves. Maybe it's also a little bit of a vision thing. I felt like I would slow down with looking at my moveset too much to be also running around and dodging while also trying to attack and capture Pokemon. So myself, that would be a game I would probably pick up. Then I think there's like one or two other games that also came out that looked really neat, but I don't know, I think that one did pretty good. Was the fastest selling console so far, which I heard some people's like, well, that's just initial thing. It's only been out since like June or July, so it hasn't even been out that long, and it's already the most selling. And then the games to me seemed really good, and the ones I would pick up seemed like I would enjoy, because I think there's like 3 or 4 different games I might would pick up myself. But yeah, that one's just one I have on here. It sold really well, looked good personally to me. If I had the money, I would pick it up. I think was it $500 bundle for the the console itself and the Mario Kart game definitely would be like a must buy for me. But yeah, I really like those, and I don't know, I'm hoping the console does good going forward, and some of the upcoming games for it do look good, even though the abilities are awesome, also bad with Tamagotchi Life. But there's some different things that I am looking forward to and hope to pick up whenever I do have the money, though I don't know, it still might be behind getting a headset. And then the final one for pluses of this year. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one other one. I don't know why I actually forgot to put this on the list, but it is Friend Slop. The Friend Slop genre has done really good this past year, and I've actually picked up a couple of them and had quite fun with them. The only one I've unfortunately been able to play with other people so far has been Headliners. Still trying to convince my friend Tim to pick up some of these other ones. But I've also played Sketchy's Contract quite a bit myself, and I had lots of fun with it. Of course, I do like this genre. I wouldn't mind more of them having more of a solo single-player mode if you're not able to like play it with friends. I've also picked up a couple other ones. I like Lethal Company, and I like some of the stuff I've seen for Repo, but I just want to get some other people to actually play those with at some point. It's probably going to be kind of him. And maybe some other people potentially, if I can kind of like, peer pressure him a little bit more. Hey Tim, if you watch this, let's go ahead and play it sometime soon. But I feel like that one's done pretty good. Of course, there's lots of bad Friend Slop. There's lots of like quicker asset flips, and then I don't want to say these are bad ones that last for like a couple weeks and it's gone. Some that are like abandoned fairly quickly and other things like that. But I do like the general loop of most of them, like get into a place, kind of an interesting place, maybe some interesting enemies or obstacles, grab stuff and get out. Of course, obviously there's some different things in there, like Headliners is a little bit more like Pokemon Snap. We're trying to get good pictures of stuff. There's some weird physics funness going on in there. I wish I had the clip of myself dying from just touching a car. I'm like, hey, it kind of moves when you touch it, and I just exploded into gips. That was a fun time. But, like I said, while there is lots of kind of like worse ones, I think a lot of them also in like early access, so they can always get abandoned anytime. They just slap a 1.0 on it and they're done and move on. I really like them. Most of them are under like $10 anyways, or $10 or under. And I think that's kind of a pretty good one. There's a fun thing to pick up and play with your friends. If you can play multiple times out of it, that's good. But $10 or $5, of course I get lots of mine on sale too. That's kind of good return on investment, good time with friends. This is just some very interesting stuff. Also, they've given me lots of ideas for maybe some different games to make myself. Like maybe you can make some more of them that are single player focused. Because like I said, I do like the Lethal Company loop of going in, like landing someplace, interesting level, interesting like inside dungeon or whatever, grab stuff, get out, here's some interesting enemies, and try to continue on that way. Sketchy's Contract's really cool with that for me, with all of its level variety. Of course, most of them are references. You have like Jurassic Park, you kind of have a original Pandora, you have a Dune, you have a Mustafa, I guess like the generic underwater, haunted level. You have like lots of neat things going on there with that one. And I wouldn't mind doing something like that potentially myself. But yeah, I think honestly the Friend Slop stonks are going up. I mean, it also would be a shame to not mention Peak. Fortunately, Tim plays Breath a lot, so he doesn't play any of these other ones with me. But I don't know, I'm not as interested in that one, just climbing the mountain myself personally. But that one seems like it's still really popular, and that's a good example of not just like a copy of Lethal Company, you doing something different, but still definitely being in that similar genre. And of course, there's a couple that's came out recently where it's based off of like some voice chat, and you're like casting spells, and you actually have to say the stuff to cast the spell. I think those have been really interesting, at least in my opinion. But the last one that I wanted to include on here, which I forgot to actually write down when I made my list, and I would have hated if I would have forgot it, but would be Super Robot Wars, at least in English. That one, I picked up 30 recently. I think it was around my birthday. I've been kind of looking at it and like, oh gosh, but this game's kind of expensive. I think really if you want to get all of the DLC, all the at least more major expansion stuff, you're probably looking at $120. I think more if you want to get like the music. To me, the music I probably could have left, but I'm happy I do have it. But they had, I think, all but the expansion pack, which is the last like bit of DLC with missions and characters. Had it on Humble Bundle for I think like $24, something like that. It was under I think 25 total. Really good, and I picked up the expansion pack later for like $20 when it was I think on sale or something, or maybe I'll see just full price. Have had lots of fun with it. Of course, I still need to actually finish it. But Y is also released, which of course I want to finish 30 before we get to Y, and I think Y actually has a lot more stuff that I'm actually familiar with, which is something I'm really interested in. But let's see, let me go ahead and get this restarted right quick. Hey, I'm doing this live and I messed that up. I forgot I need to check on that every now and then. Oh well. But with Y, I'm actually really interested in that because I think it has, what was it, Singular Point, it has Macross, even if it is Delta, but I do like the, what's the name, Walcure, I forget how to actually pronounce it, I think it's like German, but there's also like Japanese German. I do like the music, I do listen to that quite a bit myself too, so Walcure is really cool. But there's lots more things I'm a little bit more familiar with in that one. Of course, after now playing 30, I'm more familiar with some of the other series that are in that one. And it's weird, I don't always have to put old games on here, but with Y2, they have released another one. I believe this was like a simultaneous release with the Japanese version in here, like over here in America, on Steam, in English, day one, if I remember correctly. I can't remember if 30 was like that because that came out a decent bit ago. But it's neat to see that they're coming back over here in English. I believe they had been before. I think there's like six natively English titles. Though granted, some of them I think are like region locked to Hong Kong, or that like weird thing where it's a Asian video game that's in English but you can't actually buy it over here. One of those weird things. But they actually are working at releasing those over here now. Of course, it takes obviously a little while for them to get done and get made and all of that type of stuff. But it's been really fun playing 30. I'm happy that they're making more, and I'm happy that they're actually releasing over here. And it seems like they must be doing good enough with the English American releases for them to continue going on and releasing more of them, which is definitely something I really like, and I'm happy that we are getting. That is why I do want to include them. Also, with playing 30, it's got me to stop playing DD, which is their mobile game that's only available in Japan. Don't ask me how I got it. I've actually had quite a bit of fun playing that. I also want to make another video on that because it's kind of the best Pokemon game I've ever played. But hey, that's for a future video there. But I've been enjoying that, even though like, I don't really know anything that's going on. But I do like all the different designs and attacks, and it has the flashy stuff that I do like, while also having some decent tactical combat. I don't know if I would play on like a full-on harder difficulty mode. I think I'm on the easiest, the second easiest right now with my playthrough of 30, but more of that also is just kind of get through it quick. I don't know if I want to play a mission that I lose 5 times and just have to like, you know, spend all that time doing it. As I've gotten older, I appreciate playing some more games sometimes on a little bit of an easier mode just so I can get through them and actually go into the next game and just kind of make some of it a little bit quicker. But I have definitely enjoyed that one, and I'm looking forward to finishing 30 at some point, and then picking up Y. Of course, I'll probably like to pick up Y when all the DLC comes out. I don't know what all they might be adding into it, but there's a chance there could always be something else I'm more interested in. Like, I wouldn't have thought that they would be adding in Singular Point of all things, especially not this many years after it like died. Okay, so show. Definitely bits I liked about it, but I definitely not one I would thought would get included. But hey, I guess it's a way to get Godzilla in. But you never know what they might do kind of crazy next time. Never know if they might add in something I'm familiar with already, or if it's something else that I might be familiar with now because I've played some of the other stuff. Like I've played DD, got introduced to some of the other Getter characters, which I believe like one of them's coming out in the DLC. The most recent DLC they've released for Y, I think is like the second DLC. Still Getter, or no, that's Still Getter. Still Jeg, I think is the one. I've been able to actually get introduced to that character. That one looks really cool. And just kind of some different things was like, oh, I might be really interested in seeing that one. Could also, admittedly, probably a third of my like go-to team in 30 has been DLC characters. Of course, I'm familiar with lots more of the DLC characters than I am the base game characters. Like I'm familiar with Sakura Wars, which... Oh wait, let me just check. Is this even a Sakura Wars song that's playing right now? Kind of reminds me of one. Is this Sakura Wars? No, this is God Eater. But I'm familiar with Sakura Wars from the Project X Zone games. So it's neat to have lots of those characters I'm familiar with from there and actually have them play, I guess, more so like they did actually in the games. Me and my dad watched a little bit of the Ultraman show on Netflix that's included in that game's DLC. Space Vietnam, I find him interesting. Oh gosh, there's like one or two other characters I think also this is DLC there. What is that? Ultraman. I was thinking Gridman, but Gridman's also a base game, which I've also enjoyed playing with him. But yeah, that's really all I have for best of last year. If there's anything that you think would probably be included on this list if you made it, do let me know in the comments below. Is there anything you disagree with on this list? I imagine probably Nintendo and AI is probably going to be the most controversial picks on here, though. I mean, I guess if you're a big AI hater, you might also hate Expedition 33 being on this list, since it seemed like it got a bunch of random hate after everybody liked it. Because AI is bad, but they liked the game, but now they find out they used it, so now they don't like it. Yeah. But you enjoyed it when you just didn't know it was used, and even though it's like, how'd they even use? But do let me know. Like I said, I'm sure there's obviously some things that, because I didn't play them, or it's not really something that super interests me, I didn't play, or something I just didn't see the major appeal of. Like, I think a lot of people probably would say Arc Raiders, but it looked like almost every other extraction shooter to me. It's not really that interesting. And I don't try to hate on it. It's just not one that super appealed to me, but I'm not also the biggest into those. And then tell you how this one's different from that one, which is different from that one. Though actually saying that, shout out to Escape from Duckov. That game looked kind of based, even if it was a big penis metaphor. But yeah, do let me know what was your favorites in the comments down below, and I hope to see you in a future video, because I do have some more of these to make. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Until next time, Betuor Gripley signing off. Goodbye and a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in a future video. Bye bye.